Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, since it's time, we'll just get started. Okay. Now, what we do here, since the two of you are new, what we do here is that we will basically rotate amongst all the components of the PSLE English paper. Okay, so particularly for today, we will be touching on oral. It's not common that we do oral. Usually we'll do oral communication probably a few weeks before your end of year oral exam, or we will also do it like closer to holiday, and just happen that it's the start of your June holidays, right? So we will be doing oral today. And we do different things every week. So for example, maybe next week we will be touching on like comprehension. Then the week after next, we'll be touching on composition, So we cover different components of the PSLE English paper. Okay, now it just so happened that today we'll be focusing on oral, particularly recognizing the theme. What do we mean by recognizing the theme? Okay, if you look at the learning objectives. Oh, Rakshan is here. Okay. So if you look at the learning objectives, basically we need to recognize the theme of a stimulus-based conversation. Are you aware that the PSLE English oral has changed in terms of formats? Okay, I know, Jera, you're from international school, so you're probably not doing PSLE, right? But it's all right. Sometimes these kind of oral skills and, with regards to like articulation and fluency, pace, rhythm, all these will still be applicable, even if you're from international school, okay? But over here, actually, we are preparing more of how students, can do well for their PSLE. So I just want to highlight to Grace and Rakshan that your PSLE oral has changed in terms of format as well. Okay, so maybe let me just share with you what you'll be tested for oral. Okay, so as you can see, this is your syllabus document, right? So reading aloud, okay, reading aloud is actually 10 marks, right? And you have a preparation time of 5 minutes. Okay, so on top of the 5 minutes, basically, you have another 5 minutes examination time. Okay, whereby the examiners will probably be from other schools. They will not be from your own school. Okay, and then in terms of stimulus-based conversation, there will be a visual stimulus. Okay, but in this case, they will rather you have a planned response. Okay, so that means you have to prepare how you will want to respond to your examiners, right? So it's a total of 30 marks, and then the percentage is 15%, basically upon 100%. So they will divide the total score by half, yeah? And over here, okay, just a brief description of what you're supposed to do. You will be assessed on your ability to pronounce, okay, like for Jera's sake, because Jera is from international school, but I believe there will still be some form of like presentation, probably in terms of speech, in terms of like a skit or something. Okay, so the deliverable will be different. Okay, but in terms of PSLE students, okay, reading aloud, and then after that, based on the stimulus-based conversation, you will, like I said, have to give a personal response and engage in a conversation on a particular topic. And most of the time, the topic is related to the passage that you are supposed to read aloud. So today we are actually focusing on how to identify what is the theme behind that particular oral exam. Okay, so if you are able to quickly, identify the theme, then maybe when you plan your responses, it will be better. That's why you're given 5 minutes preparation time. Right? During the 5 minutes preparation time, if you can predict possible topics that are going to come out from the conversation itself, then you will probably be a bit more well prepared compared to if you were to go there and not know what to say. But of course, your examiners will prompt you as well. They will give you some questions, they'll prompt you to speak, but a lot of times you have to think on the spot. Okay, so it'll be good if you can predict, at least have a sense of maybe what's going to come out. Yeah, so that's our objective of today, right? And we are also going to go through the questions that were in your assignment. Okay, so we're just going to go through the questions first, then lastly move on to oral. Okay, so that's basically what's for today. Since we have new students, okay, Grace and Jara, we do have some house rules. I think Rakshan has been with me for quite a long time. Yeah. So Rakshan, just bear with me for a while, okay? While I go through the house rules with the girls. So in terms of house rules, I think it's really important to turn on your video, which I think all three of you are doing a good job. Okay. And also to mute your microphone. Yeah. The reason is because if let's say everybody were to turn on their microphone, there's going to be a lot of noise at the back. And then it's going to be disruptive for the class. Okay. So turn on your video, mute your microphone. Now, if you have a question, you can always type in under the chat function, the Zoom chat function. Okay. Now, if you have something really urgent, okay, you can also click on the reactions button. Okay, there's this raise hand function. Okay, I've just demonstrated it. Okay, so if you raise your hands, you will be prioritized to the front and I'll be able to see you raising your hands. Then I'll get you to answer a particular question. If you have a burning question to ask, like something that you just want to clarify, okay? Yeah. And then, of course, if you need to go to the toilet, okay, we can understand that you need to answer nature's call. So I will not stop you from going, just maybe drop me a text or something. Okay, I'm going to the toilet and go ahead. Okay, yeah. But of course, it shouldn't be too frequent because it's only a 1.5 hour lesson. You shouldn't be going to the toilet too often as well. Okay. Then, of course, lastly, the main idea is to just be respectful. Okay, this is actually a cyberspace, so we still have to be mindful. Okay, practice a bit of mindfulness. Yeah. Okay, let's get started. Okay, vocabulary MCQ. Actually, I have a list of questions which you've not done so well. Okay, so let's go through the first question. He had to sprinkle more salt on the French fries because they were what and tasteless. Any volunteers? Yes, Raksha.
A. Bland.
Okay, what do you understand by the word bland?
Bland means has no taste and it's tasteless.
Tasteless. Okay, yes. Over here there's a tasteless, right? Yeah. So bland is basically lacking some strong. Okay, lacking some strong features. And in terms of food, of course, bland means it's really uninteresting flavors and all, unseasoned. Okay, mild tasting. Yeah. Right. So in this case, of course, because if let's say it is mild tasting, it's unseasoned, then you probably want to put some seasoning, right? So in this case, the seasoning in this context is salt because you want to make it a bit more salty. Okay, so he had to sprinkle more salt on the French fries because they were bland. Yeah, the answer is A. Now, what do you mean by junk? In terms of junk, have you heard of the word junk before? Yes, I see Jara nodding her head. Yeah. Okay, so in terms of junk, it's actually something that, you discard away because you consider it as of little value. Okay, so you discarded items. It's basically called junk. Okay, and the reason behind discarding them, throwing them away, is because considered of little value. So you don't value them anymore, so you throw them away. Okay, yeah, so that's the meaning of junk. And of course, it does not fit the context here because they were junk, right? If you were to fill in the blank with junk, then it just doesn't make sense, right? Okay, now in terms of starchy, so starchy comes from the word starch, right? So in terms of starchy, it's something that contains a lot of starch. Basically, starch is a type of carbohydrates, a type of nutrient inside the food. So starchy food are some examples. Some examples of starchy food are like, for example, potatoes, bread, rice, all these are starchy food. Okay. So now in terms of French fries, actually French fries is made of potato. So it's considered a starchy food as well. Yeah. But of course, it does not really fit the context again. Okay. So starchy food means it contains a lot of starch. Okay. What about greasy? Anyone? What does greasy mean? Yes, Grace.
Slippery.
Okay, yes, greasy can mean that, you know, the surface is greasy, means it's slippery. That's one of the meaning. Yeah. It you know, slippery. Okay, but another meaning, if we're referring to food, then it's something that has that is a little bit. Yes, Rakshan, you want to say something?
Accidentally click.
Oh, you accidentally pressed it. Okay. Another meaning would be like something that is quite oily, made of grease. Okay, so in terms of food, some food can be really greasy, like, you know, fried chicken wing and all this. And fried food usually, deep fried food especially, are usually quite greasy and oily. Okay, so if it's oily, there's no reason we sprinkle more salt. So it has to be like, you know, this is like a cause and effect. So what is the cause that affects us to sprinkle more salt? So the cause is because its taste bland. Okay, it's not very strong in terms of its taste. So the answer is A. Any questions with this? No? Okay, let's move on to the next one, yeah? The 6-year-old girl ate so messily that the food was covered with, the floor was covered with. Jara, what do you think?
Crumbs.
Very good. Well done. Okay. Yeah. So it's with crumbs, and usually when you eat so messily, it depends on what type of food, of course. But mostly they will have crumbs, like breadcrumbs, fried chicken crumbs and all that. Okay. Now parts, we don't usually use it to refer to food. Usually parts are things like, for example, machineries, different toy parts. Yeah, so those are parts. Heaps basically means that it's like a small little mountain, and it's quite neat actually, things piling on top of one another. Okay, so heaps basically means untidy collection of objects, okay, placed on top of one another, on top of each other. Okay, so that's heaps, and of course pieces, I think yeah. All right. And then crumbs, I think like what Jara has mentioned, right? As the answer to this question is basically means like, small pieces that have fallen off. Okay. Any questions with this? No? Okay, let's move on. Now, seeing the flies on the food, well, it's all about food, the questions, made her lose her, yes, Rakshan?
B. Appetite.
Very good. Okay, appetite. Now, sometimes we can say lose her cool, lose her footing, and lose her mind, but they all mean different things. If I say I made you lose your cool, means that I made you quite furious, and you were, maybe you are a calm and collected person, but after I made you lose your cool, you became angry and you wanted to flare up. Yeah. When someone loses her footing, it means that you were not stable and you just fell. Okay, you lost your footing and fell. Yeah. And then of course, lose your mind means that you were actually really calm, but same thing. Sometimes lose your mind, basically, to put it very bluntly, it means went crazy. Yeah, you lose your mind. Have you lost your mind? Like you did something really unexpected and really out of the mind. Okay, so have you lose your mind? So she couldn't eat anything. Of course, the best answer and the most suitable one will be losing appetite, right? Appetite means the desire to eat.